UCS sets are the cornerstone for Lego Star Wars, being some of the most iconic and most anticipated sets to come out each year. In 2025, we got the UCS Jango Fett Slave 1, and later on in October, we're going to be getting that $1,000 UCS Death Star. But what are we going to be getting in 2026? Well, we don't know for sure just yet, but I want to take a look at some of the most likely possible UCS sets that we could be seeing next year. So without further ado, let's get right on into this video. I want to start off with not a UCS set, but a Master Builder Series set, and this is one that has kind of the most going on behind the scenes, this being a Master Builder Series Ewok Village. Now, this is one that was kind of rumored going around in 2025, but now, changed into that Ewok, the buildable Ewok at $90, but I do still think that there is a very high likelihood that we see a Master Builder Series Ewok Village in the future. Looking back to the only other one that we got back in the day, which I believe came out in 2013, this set is amazing. It is a grail for many, and it's one that so many people have wanted a remake for all of these years, and I feel like it's something that LEGO is going to be giving us in the future, and I think the best way for us to get this would be in the Master Builder Series kind of theme. Now, it would also make a playset, but if it was a playset, it would be too small and it would have to be very expensive. That is why I'm arguing that a Master Builder Series set version of the Ewok Village is one that is the most likely, and this is one that a lot of people have been talking about, saying that it's rumored leaks. Now, I don't actually think that that is true. I think it's more of a set that's wish listed by so many people, and it's just wishful thinking, but I do believe that we could be seeing this very soon. It may not come out in 2026, but I have no doubt that we'll be seeing it in the near future. Now I want to talk about our $240 price point set, and one that I've seen a lot of people talking about, and one that I think is very likely, is a Uwing. Now, we did just get our playscale Uwing based off of the second season of Andor, and it, well, being a pretty controversial set, as the design leaves a bit to be desired, as well as there being not the best interior, a very small interior that can't really fit your minifigures in there, but no one can really argue that that set does look pretty good, especially from the front if we look past the thrusters on the back. But this is a set that I would think would make a perfect UCS set, especially if LEGO capitalizes on the hype for the second season of Andor, as well as next year coinciding with the 10th anniversary of Rogue One, where that set was, or that build was originally introduced for our first wave of sets with Rogue One, would be a perfect opportunity to give us a UCS version of the Uwing. And I think fans would love this, and I think that it would translate into a UCS build very well. I think that the color scheme with the white and blue would look very good on display, as well as just being a great model and one that LEGO could knock out of the park. And if they tie it into the anniversary of Rogue One, I have no doubt that fans would go crazy for this set, and it kind of feels like a no-brainer, and I think 2026 would be the best year and best chance of us getting this Uwing. Now, leaning into that higher price point, as well as a bit more wishful thinking, a UCS set that I've always wanted has been a UCS Ghost. Now, this is one that I don't think is likely. However, I figured I'd put it on this list because it's one that I would love to see, as I'm sure many other people would love to see. I think the Ghost is an amazing ship. I think it's an amazing design, and I think if it was done on a UCS scale, they could make that interior so cool, so spacious, bringing in all of the different rooms, as well as having your room for all of your minifigures, the cockpit. I think it would be so sick. Now, ideally, it'd be based off of Star Wars Rebels. Unfortunately, it would probably be based off of the Ahsoka show if it was made, which would be kind of disappointing, as I'm a big fan of Star Wars Rebels and thought Ahsoka wasn't that good. But I do think that it is a set that is definitely a possibility. Looking at how niche LEGO has been getting with their UCS sets, especially that UCS Jango Fett Slave 1, makes me believe that it's possible that the Ghost could be on the table in the coming years. And I think it's one that a lot of fans have really wanted, and I have no doubt that it would sell very well. Now, ideally, they'd get some of your fan favorite minifigures in there, like Zeb, Hera, Kanan, Ezra, maybe even get like a Rebels Ahsoka, an updated version, but unfortunately it would probably be based off of the Ahsoka show. Nonetheless, I don't really care what show it is based off of, because I think just the Ghost in general is an amazing ship, and I think LEGO could kill it with a UCS model. Imperial ships that I wanted to take a look at being the Imperial Light Cruiser as well as the Imperial Assault Carrier. Starting off with the Imperial Light Cruiser, this is one that I do think is a bit more likely than the Imperial Assault Carrier, just because of its prevalence in The Mandalorian, as well as us getting the Mandalorian movie coming out pretty soon, and it just being more of a recognizable ship to fans. But I think this would translate very well into a UCS model. Now, the big issue is just a lot of people, big gray ships, and honestly, that's kind of all Star Wars is for the most part. Yes, there are some fun, colorful ships, but with the Imperials especially, most of their ships, pretty much all of their ships, are just big gray ships. But I do think the Imperial Assault Carrier as well as the Imperial Light Cruiser have cool enough designs. The fact that they're big and gray doesn't really matter too much, and I think an Imperial Light Cruiser is more likely. I think an Imperial Assault Carrier would be a lot cooler. Now, we briefly saw it in Andor Season 2, but I don't think that really warrants it to get a UCS set, but I do think it would make an amazing set. Looking toward the one that we got back in the day for Star Wars Rebels, that is one of my favorite sets. I think it has a sick design and a really cool build. builds, and I just think Lego could knock this out of the park, especially having the TIE fighters on the bottom could actually fit a minifigure in them. And imagine being able to fly your ship around, deploying TIE fighters out of the bottom. It would be amazing. Yes, it would be insanely expensive, but it would be such a cool set, and I would love to get it. And I think that both of those are ones that could be on the table for the next big Imperial themed UCS set. Next up, I want to talk about Hoth and giving Lego a redemption, a shot at redemption for one of the worst UCS sets ever, being the UCS Hoth, and they could do this in a Master Builder series style, and I think it would be perfect. Now, the original Assault on Hoth got a lot of hate because of its inaccuracies and the fact that it was labeled the UCS set, but in all honesty, it's just a glorified playset. However, if Lego slapped the Master Builder series tag on this set, and then they, went back, they upgraded it, made it a bit more accurate, 4 shield generators instead of 3, added up some different builds, and then changed it up just a little bit, still getting like the Echo base doorway, because I think that this set is a lot of fun. Yes, it gets a lot of hate as it being branded as a UCS set, but looking past that, it is an amazing set still, just not in the UCS category. And I think if Lego made this a Master Builder series set, it would be amazing. And knowing Hoth, knowing the fact that we're going to be getting another Hoth wave soon, I think this is definitely a very high possibility. However, I don't think it would come out in 2026. I think it would come out a little bit later on. Nonetheless, I still think it would make a great set, and I think Lego giving themselves the opportunity at redemption on such a hated set would definitely be something nice to see, because I think they could definitely improve it a ton, and I still stand by that set being a very fun set, albeit not a good UCS set, but if it was changed to the Master Builder series, I think it would have been a lot better. Next, I want to talk about a set that people have wanted a remake for a long time, being the Bwing. Now, this set has a bit of a cult following, but I do agree in the fact that it is very likely that we will be seeing a UCS Bwing pretty soon, and the fact is that we got that new cockpit piece with the Ahsoka's Interceptor that was very controversial, but many people pointed out that it would work perfectly for the Bwing cockpit, and it leads us to believe that this was made so Lego could make that new Bwing, and knowing Lego, they just slapped it into the Interceptor because why not? And I do think that it is something that is very likely to be seeing this Bwing, and given it's been so long since the previous one and how expensive that one's gotten, it would definitely be warranted. I think that the OG Bwing is a very fun and set, and I think that it would make a great remade set if Lego was to update it and add in some new features, and I do think that it is one that is very likely. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Bwing. I know it has a bit of a cult following, but just personally not for me, but I think if it was remade, a lot of people would really enjoy that set, and I think it's very likely to see a remake of that one in the future. Staying on the topic of remakes, I think another set that is due for a remake soon from Lego is a UCS VaderTIE Advance. Now, we've seen most of our other variations of the TIE Fighter get their UCS version in the recent years, with the TIE Interceptor being the most recent, but the VaderTIE Advance, it's been so long since the previous one, and I think that OG VaderTIE Advance is such a cool set, and I think if Lego did an updated version, it would be so sick, and it would look perfect with everyone else's collections of the UCS TIE Fighters, and I do think that it is one that is very likely. And the other remake that I want to talk about is the Boba Fett's Slave 1. Now, we did just get our Jango Fett Slave 1 or Jango Fett Starship, and the build is amazing. It is one of my favorite UCS sets that I've ever built, and I think just design-wise and everything going there, it just outclasses the Boba Fett Slave 1, which was already hailed as one of the best UCS sets. So I think if they remade it in this new style for the Jango Fett Slave 1, and realistically it's just a recolor, you can keep everything else the same, and then add in all of your cool minifigures, I think that it would have the opportunity to be one of the greatest UCS sets that we have seen, and it definitely would fit in that littler price point at that $300, and I do think that that is one that's very likely to be seen as probably not as soon as 2026, but definitely in the years to come. Now, as we are closing this list, I tried to think of any possible way to fit Clone Wars sets into this list, or anything prequel based. Unfortunately, just looking at everything, the rumors, all the shaping up of what we could actually get in 2026, I couldn't actually say that, oh, I think that it's possible that we get a Clone Wars themed UCS set, because it's just not true. So next up, I have some of the most realistic ones, but realistically, they're just not going to get made, that being a UCS ARC 170. Now, like I said, probably not going to happen, but looking toward the fact that we did just get the playset, and Lego kind of has a trending theme where they'll release the playset and then later they've released the UCS set version later on, and I think a ARC 170 at $240 would be amazing. I think the ARC 170 is such a cool ship, and I think it would make an amazing UCS model. However, unfortunately, I just don't think that it is looking very likely, especially for 2026. And the last one, a Hail Mary. Now, there is nothing backing this, and I would actually bet on it not happening versus actually happening, being a UCS Juggernaut. Not gonna happen, but it would be amazing, bro. The Juggernaut is such a cool vehicle, and it would be amazing in a UCS version. You would actually get your interior, you could get all of your detail, and it would be so sick for Mox getting the UCS Juggernaut. Unfortunately, like I said, not gonna be getting it, but just imagine, that would be so sick. But unfortunately, these Clone Wars sets and the prequel sets don't really get made often for UCS kind of sets. We did get the Venator, but that was kind of just like something crazy. And we did recently get the Slave 1, which leads me to believe that it's a possibility to see some sets like this in the future. I just don't think it will happen as soon as 2026, unfortunately. And then the last kind of Clone Wars Hail Mary, more of a wish list than anything, is a Republic attack shuttle. That is one of my favorite ships in all of Star Wars. And as unlikely as it is to ever see it even get a playset remake, imagine getting that in UCS would be so cool with the front loading down, and then minifigures, you could get like the Delta Squad in there. We could finally get our Clone Commandos. More of a wish list, like I'm saying. I don't think either of these 3 Clone Wars based sets would ever get made into a UCS set, but just imagine, it would be so cool. But more likely, I do think that we'd be getting more of those original trilogy and like Rogue One themed UCS sets next year, especially with the anniversary of Rogue One tying into next year, 2026, as that did come out in 2016. That 10-year-old movie, that's crazy to say out loud. I remember seeing that when that came out in theaters. But nonetheless, I do think that 2026 is shaping up to be a great year. Now, we do have some other rumors that I'm going to be talking about on a video on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that if you want some updated information about some 2026 rumors. And let me know down below in the comments what UCS sets you want to see come out in 2026 or in the coming years. And if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more daily LEGO Star Wars content. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe. Drew, signing out.